Hi, my name is Mike Kingsford. I'm a professor at James Cook University. The reason I've come to One Tree over many years is to work primarily on fishes. There's been a great emphasis on species such as coral trout. We've looked at relationships with habitat, how these animals move around, where they mate, where they feed, also how old they are. We now live to about 16 years old, and we're looking at long-term trends over those 35 years. In addition to that, many of their prey species such as small cardinal fish and sprats we've actually looked at and found they only live for less than 1 year. So it's really useful in terms of knowing something about population turnover. On local reefs around us, we've looked at what's called connectivity, which is how one reef relates to another. And for that we've used tools such as genetics and elemental chemistry and a whole range of new techniques to find out how one reef is connected to another. The astonishing part about all that work is that we think the fish often tend to stay close to home, so much so that you may end up with almost new species on individual reefs as a result of feedback loops where the larvae actually come back to the place from which they're spawned. Which is great for marine zoning. You know, if you're actually protecting these areas, lots of babies are coming back. There's also what's called spillover, where they head off to other reefs. One of the reasons I've been coming to One Tree for over 35 years is it's an amazing pristine reef to actually work on. So you're about 20 metres from the water, you can get in the water. It's a no-take marine reserve, so you know the fish populations and invertebrates are actually protected. And it's also very close to a whole range of other reefs, which are fantastic. So you can look at issues like how one reef relates to another. You can also look at things like marine zoning, because many of these reefs have either full protection, partial protection, or no protection at all. So it gives us a means of actually assessing how useful marine zoning is. I think a really important element in some of the work that I do is what I call future-proofing Australia to deal with changes to reefs. So we're dealing with times of climate change and a whole range of other perturbations such as fishing. The most important thing is that we actually train young Australians and others to actually help us understand perhaps one of the most complex ecosystems on Earth. So to have cost-effective stations like One Tree Island and have staff and students working in these places is actually critical for Australia to actually deal with the problems we face in the future. Yeah, what's really exciting about marine biology now are the variety of new techniques that we can use. New techniques in things like microchemistry, micro-tagging. It actually means we can address some of the old questions about where fish go, how populations move around, how they're related to each other. And something that's really coming out, which is quite astonishing, is just how small some of these populations are. In fact, some reefs can actually be genetically different to the reefs alongside them. So new technology, new minds, new thoughts is really helping us understand the Great Barrier Reef.